So a lot of people wonder how we landed on Marie Dressler as a subject matter for a musical, and here's actually what happened. When Tim had first paired us up, he had asked if I had any trunk projects that maybe we could develop into a musical, and I had been working with a children's musical publisher that had just gone out of business, and the last project I had sent to them was called Flappers and Flickers, and it was because I had read a book about women during the early days of Hollywood, particularly silent movies, and was fascinated to read that in that era, women actually had more power. The first credited screenwriter to get screen credit was Frances Marion, who was a woman, and I thought that was really interesting, that women had some power, so I was going to write this complete liberal agenda children's musical saying women can do anything, and push my liberal agenda with this children's musical, but then the publisher went out of business. But I thought maybe there was something in the era of women during the early days of Hollywood that we could do something with. Is that how you remember it?
Well, I remember that we were talking about, okay, what will be the subject of this musical that we're going to work on, and you brought up Frances Marion.
Right.
And of course I had never heard of Frances Marion, so I went and started doing some research about her.
Okay, that's what it was.
So my recollection is I did this research on Frances Marion, and in the course of that research, Marie Dressler's name came up.
Right.
And I'm reading about Marie Dressler this and Marie Dressler that, and she was up and she was down and she was then. I thought, wow. And so I think I came back at our next Zoom call or something,
Right.
and I said, Frances Marion sounds really interesting, but honestly, I think Marie Dressler is even more interesting.
Right, but still, now I'm remembering, so we did this whole thing on Zoom, by the way, because this was during early COVID, and yeah. So we thought, well, let's look at the friendship between Marie Dressler and Frances Marion, because Frances Marion had a very smooth career trajectory, started obscure, worked her way up, had a very happy life. Marie had these ups and downs, and at the beginning of Frances Marion's career, Marie Dressler was up and she helped her. And then when Marie Dressler was really doing badly and Frances was a huge success, she helped Marie. So we thought maybe we could do something. Remember, we were thinking maybe women friendships or something like that. And so Tim had said, why don't you guys write a scene and a song to see how you work, right?
Yeah, and we did that. That was Great Big Girl, right?
And so say what that scene was.
Yeah, the scene was when Marie Dressler was very successful, and in vaudeville in New York, and Frances Marion was a young, naive cub reporter for Hearst papers, and Marie Dressler loathed Hearst and just didn't want anything to do with anybody that had anything to do with him.
And the reporters that Frances Marion worked with all knew that, but she didn't.
Yeah.
So they basically told her she had to go get this interview or lose her job.
Yeah, they set her up, basically. Yeah. And so she came to Marie Dressler and said, I'd like to interview you. And Marie was about to throw her out. And she started crying and she said, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job if I don't get this interview. And Marie took pity on her and not only gave her an interview, but gave her a really deep interview, not just the stuff that you could read in a program of a playbill program.
And we got so excited by the scene and the song that we wrote from that. That's the first thing we wrote together. First of all, I was like, this is awesome. I had never collaborated with anybody like this. And the scene was great. I thought the song came out great. But we both looked at each other and was like, Frances Marion is boring. She could be a character, but Marie Dressler was really, I think we both kind of decided after that.
So after that, it was just Marie all the way, so
exactly.
to speak. Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Right.